Claudia Flynn and Shanti are moving through Chicago like two silent storms, and everyone in their way feels the pressure. They're not loud, they're not flashy, but the danger they bring is real, and in Season 3 of Power Book 4, Force, their choices could flip the entire city upside down. When two women who've already survived betrayal, blood, and broken trust start making moves with nothing holding them back, that's when the streets should worry. Because people with nothing to lose always hit the hardest. Claudia Flynn enters Season 3 carrying the weight of every decision she made in the last chapter of her life. And that makes her more dangerous than ever. She has already cut herself off from the safety of the Flynn name. And that was not a small step. She walked away from everything that once protected her. But the truth is, she didn't walk away empty-handed. Claudia gained something far more useful than protection. She gained the freedom to be exactly who she wants to be. Without the rules, without the traditions, and without her father's shadow deciding every move for her. But freedom always comes with a cost. And the cost for Claudia is isolation. She no longer has that wealthy family armor around her. She no longer has the privilege of hiding behind old power. What she has now is pure ambition, and ambition without limits is a kind of danger Chicago has not seen from her before. Claudia is learning that when you have no one left to disappoint, you can finally become honest about the kind of person you truly aren't. The person she is becoming is calculated, cold, and driven. Even after losing her father, losing her family's trust, and losing the business she once helped build, Claudia didn't break down. She adapted. Every mistake became a lesson. Every betrayal became a warning. She knows now that alliances can shift overnight, and trust is a luxury only the weak rely on. That is why, as Season 3 opens, Claudia is moving with a new kind of focus. She is not trying to prove herself to her family anymore. She is trying to prove she can control her own empire. What makes Claudia truly dangerous is not the violence she can order or the money she can earn. It's her mind. She sees the drug world not as chaos but as a puzzle. She understands supply, demand, loyalty, fear, every part of the street economy, and she understands how to twist each piece to her advantage. Claudia watched her father rule with force. She watched Walter Flynn destroy everything by clinging to old power. She learned from his failures. And now she's ready to build something that looks nothing like the Flynn legacy. Another part of her danger comes from her ability to mask emotions. Claudia does feel the pain of her losses, but she has learned to bury it deep. When people look at her, they no longer see a grieving daughter or a lost business partner. They see someone who doesn't flinch, someone who doesn't panic, someone who can kill a threat with a plan instead of a bullet. That calm energy makes her unpredictable in the best meaning the worst way. Chicago has always responded to power. And Claudia knows how to display just enough strength to get respect without drawing too much heat. She moves with intention. She watches before she strikes. And more importantly, she has learned that the best enemies are the ones who don't realize they're being targeted. Season 3 shows Claudia stepping into a version of herself that is smarter, sharper, and more dangerous than the woman we met before. She has already burned her bridges, so she is not afraid to light a few more fires. She has already buried her past, so she is not scared to create new enemies. And when a woman like Claudia finally stops trying to fit into her family's world and starts building her own, that's when people in power start to panic. Because all the limits that once held her back are gone, and the only thing more dangerous than a criminal with a plan is a woman who refuses to be discounted ever again. Shanti Showstopper is not loud, and she doesn't need to be. Her presence speaks before she ever opens her mouth. In a city full of men who believe power comes from shouting, showing off, or pulling the trigger first, Shanti is the opposite. She moves slow, observes longer, and hits only when she knows she'll win. That is why Season 3 positions her as one of the most dangerous forces rising inside Chicago's criminal world. She doesn't need a legacy like the Flynns. She doesn't need an army like the CB. What she has is instinct, sharp, trained, unforgiving, and instincts like hers change the course of wars before they even begin. Shanti understands the streets better than most because she grew up inside them, not above them. She learned early that trust is a tool that can turn into a weapon. She learned that loyalty expires quickly when money gets tight or when fear gets too heavy. That is why she keeps her circle small and her emotions locked away. Every bond she forms is calculated. Every word she speaks is measured, and every move she makes is shaped around survival first, ambition second. But now, in Season 3, those two things, survival and ambition, are starting to merge. Shanti is no longer just staying afloat. She's climbing. The most dangerous thing about Shanti is her ability to understand people. She knows what motivates them, what scares them, and what they hide. While others rely on muscle or guns, Shanti relies on reading the room. She sees cracks in alliances before they form. She senses betrayal before the first lie is even told. This is what makes her a true threat to both Diamond and Jennard. Even though they don't fully realize it yet, they still see her as part of their orbit, someone supporting their world. But Shanti is silently building her own gravity, and when she pulls, people will shift toward her whether they want to or not. Season 2 showed hints of Shanti stepping deeper into the power game, but Season 3 turns those hints into real moves. She is no longer positioning herself to help someone else win. She is studying ways to create her own territory, her own influence, her own network. And the moment a woman in the criminal world realizes she can rule without asking for permission, the entire system begins to crack. Shanti knows this. She knows what she's capable of. She knows she can fight, think and strategize better than most of the men around her. And once a person truly accepts their power, there is no going back. Her relationship with Diamond has given her access to inside information, weaknesses, routines, ambitions, and secrets. But Shanti's loyalty has a limit. She respects Diamond, but respect is not the same as obedience. If his decisions start getting in her way, or if he becomes a liability, Shanti will not hesitate to move differently. She has no interest in being dragged down by someone else's moral conflict or fear. She wants stability, she wants control, and she wants to make sure no one ever has the power to put her in a position of weakness again. What truly raises the danger level is Shanti's ability to appear cooperative while quietly maneuvering behind the scenes. People underestimate her because she doesn't brag. They underestimate her because she doesn't need the spotlight. But those are the same people who end up blindsided when Shanti finally reveals the strength she's been hiding. She is the kind of threat that grows slowly, quietly, and becomes impossible to stop once she reaches full momentum. And in a city like Chicago where alliances shift daily and loyalty breaks in the blink of an eye, a calm, patient strategist like Shanti is more terrifying than a gunman on the corner. She doesn't shoot first because she's confident she will be the last one standing. That kind of patience, paired with her street intelligence, makes her a storm waiting for the right moment to strike. And when she finally does, everyone around her will feel the ground shake. Because Shanti doesn't just enter a power struggle, she rewrites the rules entirely. Claudia and Shanti are dangerous on their own, but the real fear begins when their paths start moving toward each other. These are two women who don't need approval, don't need protection, and definitely don't need anyone controlling their decisions. They are built from different worlds, Claudia from old power and high society, Shanti from the streets and survival, but both of them share the same rising hunger. They want influence, they want control, and most importantly, they want freedom. When two people with the same hunger begin circling the same territory, a few things can happen. They can fight, they can avoid each other, or they can join forces. And the possibility of a Claudia-Shanti alliance is the kind of shift that could send shockwaves through every corner of Chicago. What connects them most is the fact that they both understand betrayal on a personal level. Claudia was stabbed by her own family's decisions, and Shanti has lived long enough to know that friends and enemies can exchange roles overnight. That shared experience creates a kind of silent respect between them. They both know how easy it is to trust the wrong person. They both know how fast things fall apart when someone chooses greed over loyalty. Because of this, neither of them gives trust easily, but they might sense something familiar in each other. Not friendship, not emotional connection, more like recognition. They recognize ambition when they see it, and ambition is a language both women understand. If Claudia and Shanti decide to work together, it would not be built on emotion. It would be built on strategy. Claudia brings intelligence, planning, and an understanding of the higher-level business world. Shanti brings street awareness, physical presence, and a reputation that makes people hesitate before crossing her. Together, they cover every angle: money, muscle, manipulation, and movement. Most alliances in Chicago are unbalanced. One side always needs the other more. But a Claudia-Shanti partnership is different. They need each other equally. And that balance is what makes them so dangerous. Their combined intelligence is another threat people underestimate. Claudia sees patterns. Shanti sees opportunities. Claudia notices weakness in wealthy power structures. Shanti notices weakness in the streets. If they ever sit across from each other and decide to compare notes, they might realize something important. They can stand stronger together than apart. And if that realization happens, then Chicago has a problem. because Tommy is used to dealing with enemies who fight him directly, but two enemies who move in silence, two enemies who spread influence without bragging, two enemies who work smarter instead of louder, that's a whole different battle. Even without an official alliance, their indirect actions are already affecting each other. Claudia's push for independence is creating cracks in old systems that Shanti can step into. Shanti's rising position in the streets creates pressure that Claudia can use to manipulate suppliers, buyers, and rivals. Their moves ripple into each other's lanes, creating tension and opportunity at the same time. Chicago is becoming a chessboard where both women are taking pieces without even speaking a word to each other. And when two players start taking over the same board, a collision becomes unavoidable. But here's the real twist. A partnership between them wouldn't just threaten Tommy or CBI or the remaining Flynn influence. It would threaten the entire structure of the city. Two women breaking the unspoken rules of loyalty and legacy would force everyone else to react. Some would try to join them, some would try to stop them, some would panic. Because when power changes hands quietly, people lose their footing fast. And Claudia and Shanti are exactly the kind of leaders who don't give that footing back once they take it. If these two ever agree, even silently, that they can benefit from each other, the game changes instantly. They don't have to like each other. They don't have to trust each other. They just have to want the same thing, control. And sometimes, in the criminal world, shared ambition is stronger than trust. That is what makes their potential connection so explosive. It's not emotional. It's not personal. It's purely and power-driven alliances do not end softly, they end in takeover or destruction. Whether they join forces or end up clashing. One thing is clear. The moment Claudia Flynn and Shanti step into the same circle, the streets will feel the shift. Because they are not just players anymore, they are forces. Forces that don't ask for permission, forces that don't fear consequences, and forces that could reshape Chicago's entire power map with one choice. Tommy Egan has survived killers, cartels, family wars, and betrayals that would have ended anyone else. But Season 3 places him in front of a new kind of danger, one that doesn't come with loud threats or obvious enemies. Claudia and Shanti represent a type of power Tommy isn't used to fighting. They don't move like the crews he's crushed before. They don't make the same mistakes. They don't rush. And in a city built on ego and violence, the biggest threat is always the person who keeps their cards hidden until the very last moment. That is exactly what makes these two women so dangerous for a man like Tommy. Tommy's biggest advantage has always been his ability to outthink his enemies while staying unpredictable. But Claudia and Shanti mirror those same qualities in different ways. Claudia challenges him on the business side. She understands distribution, money flow, branding, and the political game. She can slip into places Tommy can't because she knows how to speak the language of high society while still playing dirty. Shanti challenges him in the streets. She feels the shifts before they happen, sees the cracks before they form, and gains trust from the people Tommy tries to control. Together or, even separately, they can cut off Tommy's power from two very different angles. The real danger comes from how invisible their moves appear. Tommy is used to spotting threats from a mile away, but Claudia doesn't move in the open anymore. She learned from the messes of Season 1 and 2. She isn't chasing attention or family pride. She is building something small, stable, and silent, a shadow empire. And the more silent a threat is, the harder it becomes to strike back against it. By the time Tommy hears whispers about a new supplier, a new deal, or a sudden shift in loyalty, that move may already trace back to Claudia and it may be too late to stop her. Shanti brings a different kind of pressure. She doesn't need to touch Tommy directly to damage him. All she has to do is influence the people he relies on. Chicago's power networks hinge on trust and fear, and Shanti knows how to manipulate both. If she decides Diamond isn't moving strong enough, she can tilt the balance. If she thinks Jennard is being reckless, she can adjust her position. And if she ever sees a weakness in Tommy's operation, she won't attack head-on, she chip away at the people he thinks he controls. Tommy is used to fighting leaders. Shanti is a threat that grows from underneath, shifting loyalty around him until he realizes the ground he stands on isn't stable anymore. Season 3 also raises an important truth. Tommy's biggest weakness is underestimating people who don't look like typical rivals. He came to Chicago expecting family mobs and street gangs. He didn't expect a strategist like Claudia or a fighter like Shanti to rise at the same time. He didn't expect women to become the strongest forces pushing against his empire. Tommy has always respected strength, but he sometimes overlooks subtlety, and subtlety is exactly what Claudia and Shanti weaponize best. Another reason Tommy should worry is that both women have something he struggles with: patience. Tommy acts fast, reacts fast, and strikes fast. Claudia and Shanti build slowly. They wait for the right moment instead of creating one. That difference in pace creates a dangerous gap. While Tommy is fighting immediate battles, they are setting up long-term advantages. While he is surviving the present, they are shaping the future. And by the time he turns around, the future might already belong to them. What makes this even more dangerous is the possibility, no matter how small, of Claudia and Shanti aligning against him. Tommy can handle one enemy. He can handle two. But two enemies who understand opposite ends of the power game. That's a threat even he can't bulldoze through. Claudia can cut off his connections. Shanti can turn his allies. Claudia can manipulate his business. Shanti can manipulate his environment. Where one woman is sharp, the other is tougher. Where one is strategic, the other is fearless. Together, they form a problem Tommy can't solve with violence alone. Even if they never fully join forces, their separate pressures can wear Tommy down. Weakening the Flynn name made space for Claudia to rise. The chaos inside CBI made space for Shanti to rise. Tommy helped create a fractured Chicago without realizing he was opening doors for new power players. This is the irony of his journey. Every time he breaks the old system, two new threats grow from the cracks. And as Season 3 unfolds, the city starts to feel that shift. Power is slipping. Alliances feel fragile. Money routes are changing. Tommy senses something is moving in the shadows, but he can't tell whether it's Claudia, Shanti, or both. That uncertainty alone is enough to put him at a disadvantage, because Tommy Egan isn't afraid of an enemy. He can see he's afraid of the one he can't locate until it's too late. Claudia and Shanti are not just characters making noise. They are forces reshaping Chicago without permission. And for the first time since he arrived, Tommy isn't the only storm in the city. He's facing two storms, different, powerful, rising, and, if he's not careful, they will collide right on top of him.